All right, everybody, Lance here. I'm going to go over Trading in the Zone, Chapter 9. First, the highlights that I took on the chapter. What we have is a direct conflict between between your old belief that you need to know what will happen next to be successful, and your new understanding that you don't need to know. So, a lot of what people think initially is you need to know what's going to happen. I'm taking a bullish trade. I need to know that it's going to go up. Not necessarily. Just because you're not necessarily going to go up because you don't know what's going to happen. Think about in probabilities. If you think a certain percent chance that it'll go up, a little bit higher than normal, or at least your return is greater than the risk, you can still be profitable in that trade. So, four ideas. One, the environment can express itself in an infinite combination of ways. When you combine the forces of nature interacting with everything created by humans, then add to that the forces generated by all the possible ways people can express themselves, the result is a number of possible versions of reality that would surely overwhelm even the most open minded person. So, even though you're open about what might happen, you need to be aware that the environment could be in infinite number of ways and the market could do anything. Remember, even one person could influence the stock price. Two, until we have acquired the ability to perceive every possible way in which the environment can express itself, which isn't possible, our beliefs will always represent a limited version of what is possible from the environment's perspective, making our beliefs a statement about reality, but not necessarily a definitive statement of reality. Three, if you find yourself taking exception to that statement, then consider if our beliefs were a true 100% accurate reflection of physical reality, then our expectations would always be fulfilled. Obviously, that never happens always. If our expectations were always fulfilled, we would be in a perpetual state of satisfaction. As you're aware, that doesn't happen when you're in the market. You're going to have some losses. How can we feel other than happy, joyful, elated, and with a complete sense of well being if the physical reality was consistently showing up exactly as we expected to? That's why you're not going to always be happy when you take trades, because some trades will lose out, and you have to be okay with it. Four, if you can accept the third statement as being valid, then the corollary or opposite is also true. If we're not experiencing satisfaction, then we must be operating out of a belief or beliefs that don't work very well. So, being aware of your environment, knowing knowing that you can't figure out all possible outcomes, being okay with it, and then not being super overjoyed or excited after every win, just like you don't want to feel defeated after every loss. Discussion questions. One, Mark Douglas says, you don't trade the markets, you trade your belief about the markets. How do your current beliefs about risk, winning, or losing shape your trading behavior and decision making? So, my current beliefs is I'm going to be taking a trade with a positive expectancy over long periods of time, and knowing that I'm doing that, that helps in my decision making process because when I'm taking a trade at a certain setup, I know over time that it's going to work out, and that doesn't mean every individual trade will work out, but I'm okay in my decision making for that, and that also implements a good behavior. Two, Douglas emphasizes that traders often attach their self worth to being right on a trade. Why has detaching your ego from a trade become essential for achieving consistency? You might see an ideal setup and then, quote unquote, know that it's going to work out, and you have a good ego and being like, oh yeah, I'm sure it's going to work because I've done this before. If you have that ego and it doesn't work out, you might stay in a trade longer, you might size up more than you should be. But if you detach your ego from that and then just play it on probabilities, then you'll be in a better outcome. Three, Chapter discusses framing losses. That's a natural part of trading, rather than as failures. And you can't really know if a trade is going to happen in a positive outlook or not. So you shouldn't think that you're a failure if it didn't work out. How could changing the way you interpret losing trades improve your mindset and long-term performance? Um, I, at this point, interpret losing trades as it just went in the opposite side of what the probability is. I mean, no trade is going to work at 100%. Most of the trades I do is in the 70 to 80% success rate, which means that there's 20, 30% that won't work out. And knowing that that happens, I think it improves my mindset because then I'm not too concerned when a loss happens. Still have food on the table, and then I can just take another trade when the edge comes my way. 4. Beliefs versus reality. Douglas suggests conflicting beliefs could cause hesitation, fear, or impulsive behavior. Can you identify any internal conflicts between your trading goals and your emotional reactions? My trading goals are pretty reasonable in most cases. I'm trying to get about 2.5% a month. During live trades, I might have some conflicts where I might have a few losses in a row, but I'm perfectly okay with it and not showing much emotion when the trades happen. 5. A key idea is successful traders think in probabilities rather than absolutes. What practical steps can you take to strengthen your probabilistic mindset and trust your trading edge even through drawdowns? A few things that you could do is make sure you're sizing appropriately. Don't have any one trade be too high of a percent of your account, especially if you lose it. Ideally, you're losing maybe up to around 1% of your total account size in any one particular trade. And then being okay with the drawdowns when it happens. Drawdowns will always happen. I'm in a buy side strategy since May where I had a pretty decent drawdown, but I just kept going at it, and now we recovered from it. So you just have to be okay with having a few losses in a row. It helps in back testing to know how much the drawdown might be. Could easily go a little bit above that, possibly two, and still being okay with it as long as it has the good long-term positive outlook. So that's chapter 9. We only have 2 more chapters after this. And leave a comment down below or ask any questions on the Discord. Have a good one, guys.